Okay, today we're dynoing Cave Thomas's 2011 truck. This is a brand new setup. They just finished a couple hours ago and brought it down here. This is a Performance Series D&J long block with 100% over Exergy injectors, Exergy 12mm CP3, and stainless diesel 5-blade 485 on the bottom with a 468 8710 on the manifold. So it's their smaller version of a knuckle sandwich setup. So it should be a responsive truck, something that's fun to drive. They also did a 48RE swap with our Comp 3 transmission. Fast fuel system, pretty much a good daily driver, well-rounded setup they can still tow trailers with and have enough horsepower to still have some fun on the weekends. So we're going to get this thing dialed in. We had set them some remote tunes that they drive it down here with, and we're going to get dialed into the dyno, make sure all the fuel pressure regulation is good, and see how much power it makes, and then get them back out the door. Okay, first revision from the tunes that we sent him did 528 horsepower on tune 1. Tune 2 did 639 horsepower. And then 3, 4, and 5 we had hot rod tunes. Tune 3 did 920 horsepower. Tune 4 did 1000.1 horsepower. And tune 5 did 1114 horsepower, which is exceptional numbers for 100% over injector and a single 12mm pump. But that is when you have a complete setup that works together well, you get good results. For sure on a 10 to 12 truck, the 10 to 12s always tend to be a little bit short on power, but this truck is perfect for the setup. It's right where it needs to be. But the twin setup has plenty of air, so every time we add fuel quantity, it makes more power. It makes it nice when you have plenty of air for your setup, so now this truck can be able to go out and make full power, still be clean, not have smoke. And that's really what we look for, is a clean, drivable setup if it's something that goes on the street. Okay, this is a smoke run for tune 5. Okay, that was a run that did 1104 horsepower. That is something, a testament to when you have plenty of air and a good smoke map on one of these 4th gens, that you can really get these things cleaned up pretty nice and still make 1100 horsepower. Okay, we got Cave's truck all wrapped up and ready to go test drive this thing on the street. This thing did everything we asked for it and more. Doing 1100 horsepower with 100% overs is a great number, and for being a 10 to 12 truck, we're just happy that everything worked exactly the way it should. And we still had plenty of CP3 left. Turbos, where everything was well within spec. It was very clean. I think it's going to be a great driver. We're going to get this thing out of here and let them go enjoy their new build. Okay, today we have Seth Hildebrand here, and this is a 2009 2.6 Smooth Bore truck that we're going to be putting on the dyno. He just made a couple changes on the fuel system. It's got a Exergy 14mm pump and 200% over injectors. D&J stage 1 head. It's got billet rods in it. Apex 2.6 Smooth Bore turbo, correct? And Fuel Lab lift pump. It's got all the basic supporting mods for the truck. So we're gonna start on the bottom with fuel quantity, work our way up. Truck like this, we're obviously gonna be limited to the turbo because he's got the engine and fuel system that could make a ton of horsepower if we put unlimited air on it. So 2.6 Smooth Bore. The point of that class is they restrict the class on horsepower by only allowing 2.6 inch turbo inlet size, and you can have no map width groove, and so it makes the turbo be the limiting factor. So this is why we try to fine tune this on the dyno. We'll adjust timing, adjust fuel quantity, and make as much power as we can with that limited amount of air. So we'll get this thing started and see what kind of power we make today. Okay, we've got Seth's truck pretty much wrapped up. We learned a couple things on the dyno. It was having a hard time starting. It would crank and we would see RPM signal bounce out, then come back on, then bounce out, and during that time rail pressure would max out, and it would be a 4-second crank to get the thing started. We started looking at the wiring, and he had run his ECM in the cab and extended the wiring. So we did a little bit of diagnostic and figured out that one of his crank signal wires was switched around. So we switched that. Now the truck starts nice. It actually goes in the full fuel mode on the data log, so everything is working like it should. We did 854 horsepower. This is limited to the 2.6 Smooth Bore turbo. I really think we can benefit by going to a smaller exhaust housing, maybe even a smaller turbine wheel, because we're only getting like 32 pounds of boost out of it at 4,000 RPM. I think by going to a smaller turbine flow, we're going to speed up the turbo shaft speed, make more boost, which is going to result in more power. So he's going to talk to a couple options on his turbo guys and see if we can get a smaller exhaust housing, and then we'll probably put it back on the dyno and see if we can make a little bit more boost, because boost is everything on these limited turbo applications. We're going to get this thing off the dyno and send him on the way.